the sound of the police in my hood.
Welcome, folks, fans, haters, whoever else stops by, visitors, what have you. Welcome to the Three Black Heathens show. Tonight, folks, we got kind of a plethora of things to talk about. We're going to be talking about atheism and what's your burden of justification, your proof, whatever, who says what, and how you get it. We got some election stuff. What's been going on? We got some interesting folks to talk about, and about the conservatives, and especially those who just so happen to be the same color as coffee as me and some of my brothers here. So, and by the way, folks, if you have not read the title, yes, we got Kanye West hot, from our last broadcast. But before we begin, we're going to give a shout out to the meatball man himself, Mr. Mowdy. And we're also going to give a big shout out to Monte, our man behind the scenes. So without further ado, folks, please share this, by the way, on the book face, on the Twitters on the tweeters, on the Instagrams, and all that good stuff. And let us begin. Well, Nate, you said you got a conversation going on with somebody on Facebook, and you and him got involved in what now?
Okay. Listen, man. This is part of our topic that we're going to call bad philosophy tonight, y'all. We're going to try to actually guide people to a way where they won't, run into this problem of using bad philosophy and actually misusing philosophy. And basically, these are one of the reasons I think why a lot of people, atheists and theists, actually reject philosophy, man. A lot of people don't like philosophy, man, because of people, like who we're talking about, who twist it up. Okay, I'm, just gonna say it. I called him out. He's on the Facebook, man. Y'all know your drag favorite guy, Steve McRae. He made a post on Facebook, man, and he was talking about atheism and the burden of proof. And he basically said, matter of fact, I guess I should probably just go find the Facebook page. Why not? And basically what he was saying on the page was that atheists, all atheists, he didn't single any particular type atheist out. He didn't ask any atheists what the definition of atheism was. He just said atheists. So he put all of the atheists in this big pool, and he said that all atheists should have a burden of proof. And he said that they should have a peer review. Anybody who disagrees, he said anybody who disagrees should bring a peer reviewed report.
Now, I didn't see this. So, did he have a peer review to bring to the table himself?
He did. Talk about the peer reviewed paper that he presented.
I'm going to tell you about the peer review.
Tell us about the peer review,
which is not really peer reviewed at all. It's a dude named Dr. Malik. His sources was a dude named Dr. Malik, which is defining atheism and the burden of proof, 2018. And of course, Dr. Alex Malpass, who doesn't have an issue with it being a second order of justification. What do you mean by second order justification? He's saying that Alex Malpass said that he don't have a problem with the burden of proof being a second order of justification. Okay, and then we're going to explain that later for those who don't know. But the thing is, this guy Malik defining atheism burden of proof really had no citations on it. It's not no peer reviewed in philosophy, and peer review in philosophy does not work the same way as it does in science. There were many philosophers. As a matter of fact, just because you're quoting two people doesn't make it a consensus. Just like Nate said earlier, I mean, there were philosophers going back hundreds and hundreds of years who disagreed with each other. There was no peer review. You know, philosophy is not a science; it's a philosophy. That's why it's called philosophy. There was thinkers. You know, you talk about people like Rene Descartes or David Hume, Francis Bacon, or going back to Socrates and Plato and Aristotle. None of these guys had degrees in philosophy. This is a point I need to make. I need to make a great point here. None of these guys had degrees in philosophy, but these are the greatest philosophers ever lived. And the guys now who have degrees in philosophy, some people think that some reason, I think Steve has an idea that somebody that may have a degree in philosophy, his opinion means more than somebody else's. And the thing about people that have degrees in philosophy, they're actually going to school, you know, to be taught to think like the guys or to understand what those guys were saying, the ones who never went to school for philosophy. So the basically what I'm saying is he's basically using, you know, he used Alex Malpass a lot, you know, and I think that's you know, it's dishonest, it's intellectually dishonest for you to try to use a name of a person to try to say, well, I think his opinion trumps your opinion, you know, when it comes to philosophy. And he was basically wrong on the whole point. And so I went back and forth with him. Then Nate went back and forth, and I actually invited Steve to come debate. We could do it on his channel. You know, I said, you want to debate Nate on it? He said, what didn't we? He was like, well, you know, I don't want to mess with Nate about it because we've been going back and forth for a whole year. And, you know, I don't want to go through that mess again, you know. All of that. I said, man, I don't get it, man. I don't get it. But and Nate said something. Nate, huh?
You sound like you feel pretty strong about this, though. So I don't know why he wouldn't jump at the opportunity to discuss with you. You know what
the problem is that Steve knows enough to be dangerous, but he's taking this position, and he wants to take, and he's taking this position, and he wants to be right about it. And when people say, well, listen, Steve, you're incorrect. This is not the best way. Just because you say you want to not be called an atheist doesn't make it so. You know, this is where language has usages. And it's true. And when, even I tried to explain this to him before, when you have propositions, for instance, if I say I have a unicorn in my garage, like Empress was saying earlier, if I have a unicorn in my garage, and you say I don't believe you, then I've given you no evidence. I've only given you my word to believe me. I've given you no evidence, no anything. So your lack of belief in that assertion that I have a real live unicorn in my garage is warranted. You know, there's no evidence you could provide. What burden do you have to prove that I don't have a unicorn in my garage, except for you understand that most people don't have unicorns in their garage, and that's the type of thing that Steve doesn't understand. What justification do you have to believe something that you don't even know about? You know, there is no justification for not believing something. You know, if you don't present to me the idea, I don't believe it because I don't know about it. I don't know anything about it. And that's what Nicker was trying to keep saying. Yes, right. when you put a proposition that a God exists, you then absorb a burden of proof. There's no doubt about that. What you were saying, Imp?
I mean, I want to explain this. The thing he said that all atheists, they have had this burden of proof, period. And this is what I told him he was wrong at. I said, now me, for example, I said there are certain atheists who actually do hold a burden of justification. I said, atheists like me, for example. I said, I hold my atheism as a proposition. Because, and me personally, like I said, I know there are some atheists who, when you ask them, you know, what do they mean by atheism? How do they believe? They say they lack a belief in a particular deity.
That's me.
Right. That's me. Now, me, I may not agree with that particular meaning, and I understand that being a psychological statement, I may not agree with that. And the reason I don't agree with that is because, which is cool.
That's a fair point, yeah.
Right. But the reason I don't agree with it, but I don't see nothing wrong with it either. So it don't mean that something's wrong with it because I don't agree with it. But my thing is what I was trying to explain to Steve is, in my particular case, as far as me holding my atheism as a proposition, I am answering the question. The theism is a proposition which says there are gods, period. And like I've told Steve before, we was talking about the term agnostic. I said an agnostic has nothing. An agnostic don't even have a dog in his fight, because the metaphysical question is there a God? You can either answer yes or no. There's no way. If you say, well, I don't know, or I don't think it could be, you're not answering the question. You don't have nothing.
But one thing I want to say about agnosticism isn't a position of belief. It is the ultimate position of non-belief. You don't believe that claim, or you don't believe that claim. It is not a belief position. And he feels that it is. And every time I can say, well, do you believe theists? No. Do you believe atheists? No. So what do you believe about the proposition? I don't believe anything. So why are you calling it a belief proposition? It's a lack of belief. It's a lack of belief.
He told me though that he did tell me, which is confusing. He told me that I asked him one time. I said, well, do you hold your agnosticism as a proposition? He said no. Because he calls himself a temporal agnostic. Yeah. So he doesn't hold himself to. He doesn't view his agnosticism as a proposition, though. So he did tell me that one time, and when we debated this subject some months ago. But the thing about it, what I was trying to explain to Steve is that, yes, when I say that I hold my atheism as a proposition, I am saying there are no gods. Period. I am answering the question of this metaphysical 1,000-year question, are there gods? I'm saying no. So now I have a burden of justification to why I say no. And I have arguments as to why there are no gods. And most of the time I'm arguing from a local atheistic standpoint. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But you know, the point that Steve doesn't understand is that transition that you just said. When somebody presents a proposition to you, there are fairies in my backyard, there are unicorns, there's this God. And they provide you evidence. They say, well, here's my evidence. Read the Bible. This happened to me. We hear about all the evidence, that they say they present. Then, yes, then it switches. Then, I think Steve was correct about this. You then have a second order in the sense of now you're talking about justifications. Now, for us to have a fulfilling conversation, I have to then justify to you why I don't accept your evidence to support whether you believe this proposition is actually true. So I can reject it, and my rejections of it telling you I reject this piece for this reason, I reject this piece for this reason, that's a burden of justification. And that's what I think the disconnect is.
And this is something that actually, while we're name dropping folks, this is something Ozzy had brought up a while back when atheists were going out and saying that I have absolutely no burden of proof at all for anything. No, we all have a certain burden of proof.
Right.
I think some people interchange with burden justification. Some people may or may not. But if I say that, well, there is a car in my garage, and then someone says, well, no, I don't believe you. Well, I go, well, why don't you believe me? Well, because I have 2 cars in my garage. That's not a proper reason for you to reject that claim, right? You actually need something to match it, and something that is relevant. And so if we are rejecting claims, it has to be in line with whatever is being presented. If it's anecdotal, that's hard as shit. But if it's something that's empirical, then obviously you can have counter evidence, or you can actually suss out, if that evidence is actually valid for that particular claim.
But But what you just said, the thing that makes it so different, and the thing that I think confuses people, because with the claim of a car being in a garage, there are other things, because that more likely is to be true. Why would someone lie about that? It's just like me saying I have a pet dog. But if you told me you had a pet dragon, a live pet dragon in your garage,
no precedent for that though.
Yeah, exactly. But that could be the justification for my disbelief. But I would say this: any claim that you don't know about, something that somebody just makes up out of the blue, I believe the only situation that you could be justified in having is not believing it until somebody provides some evidence for it. Because even Steve's, and that's the problem with Steve's argument, his requirement for having a rational belief is identical for having for actually not believing the claim, because if no one provides any evidence for you to make some type of, then not believing everything is irrational, because no one's ever provided you evidence for a God that doesn't exist. There would be no evidence.
Right. But and just to go on to what y'all saying, the thing about it, the definition, when we talk about the definition, go back to the definition of atheism. Like I said, my definition of atheism is there are no gods. Atheism is simply the opposition of the particular question of theism. But now there are a lot of atheists who say, hey man, I lack a belief in God. They'll say, I have no reasons to believe in God. I just lack a belief. when you find an atheist who says they lack a belief in God or they don't believe in the God, these particular atheists, which basically hold their particular atheism in a psychological state of belief, they don't necessarily have a burden of proof at all. You know what I mean? So this is what I don't think Steve really understood, because he tried to make atheism one big monolith of a definition, and you can't do that. There are many different, and just because somebody else has another definition of atheism don't mean they're not atheists. And you can't tell people what their atheism is. This has been a philosophical argument for years, and I don't know what makes this guy think he got a nail in a coffin on it or something. I mean, this is ridiculous. The arrogance, man, is just ridiculous to me.
No, but he thinks that he doesn't want to be defined as an atheist. That's usually his.
Well, if he don't want to be
call me
defined as an atheist, that's his business. I don't care.
But
I don't
that's
care what he wants.
I don't want to be a nigga. Okay,
yeah, exactly. But that's the same. His whole same thing is I don't want to be an atheist, and now he wants to convince you. He wants to say, well, his little box that he's contrived is not an atheist, and you should never call anybody in that position atheist. So as long as people call people who lack a belief in a God an atheist, he'll always be definitionally an atheist, which he rejects.
Right. That's true. But I think, you know what, this is a topic, man. This is a topic that probably gonna be going on for a long time.
Well, the problem is he won't. Steve will not debate anybody of any substance on this, no matter what happens. See, like you asked him to talk, he's not going to talk about this. Because he knows his argument is just too easy to defeat. And most people, I'm sorry to say, most people who he says agrees with him doesn't agree with him, and they always say, "Well, I really don't agree with Steve. Really don't agree with Steve." Then why don't you guys tell him? But everybody wants to kind of kowtow around a little bit. I don't know why.
Well, the point of the matter is, and I'm gonna tell you something, because me myself, I actually love philosophy. I have a great love for philosophy. I studied when I was, doing my courses, religious philosophy, religion and philosophy. But the thing about it is, it can be twisted, just like he did. He said about this peer review thing and all this stuff, because somebody has an opinion. That's like me saying, let's just go back to the arguments when Thomas Aquinas and all of these guys were and Godfrey and all of these guys were disagreeing on things back in the day. That's like me saying, well, I read what Aquinas said, but Descartes said something totally different. But I have my peer review with Descartes, and you got your peer review.
Everybody's got peer review.
Everybody got a peer review because one philosopher said something who was contemporary with this other philosopher who said the exact opposite. So, where the hell are we going with this? No damn well. It's a bunch of semantics. It's a bunch of ring around the roses. I can speak better than you type BS, and it's really, it's pathetic, really.
Gentlemen, I think we got a few folks that want to come in and actually discuss this. Y'all ready for some guests?
Yeah, get them in.
Want some guests? All right. Go ahead. I'm gonna get y'all the numbers. Look in the outside chat, folks. Make sure you download the Zoom app. We're not using Skype. We're not on Hangouts. We're using Zoom. So be ready. Some of y'all have been asking for this.
Be ready.
So, man, I'm rolling my eyes at this topic, but I think it's funny that he done moved on to something else that he grandstanding about, but I ain't surprised. So next tomorrow, I'm gonna be king of the Negroes in cell biology, and you disagree with me, I'm getting mad. Everybody catching it. Damn it. All right, so if download the Zoom app, folks. The numbers are in the live chat. Y'all can join the hangout, and please give us, and this is all seriousness. Tell us what you think. Just in general about not necessarily how atheism is defined, but the burden of proof, burden of justification as to how you have defined your position. Whether you take Imp's more position or you take Nate's position. Please let us know. And so the numbers have been given out, folks. So we may have to come back to this while folks get in, but
that's cool. So we'll come back to that topic then.
Yeah.
So what about the upcoming elections? What do you guys think?
Hey man, what is it going to be? Is it going to be a blue wave or a red wave? What y'all think?
Well, I'm looking. Obama went and backed Stacey, and actually I think Diddy Didn't Diddy back Stacey Adams stuff? He put something
Yeah.
out.
Fuck Diddy.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I mean, he's
Yeah.
look. I ain't no huge fan of Diddy, but he went on social media and was like, you know.
Well, I mean,
Stacey
Oprah Winfrey, of course, the conservatives and the right wing saying, oh, he go to left wing swing. It's actually fun watching all of this stuff. Oprah Winfrey came down here to Atlanta to back Stacey Abrams, big time. She was knocking on people's doors and everything, man. I was hoping she knocked on my door.
Don't forget back to back though. You got black guy running for governor in
Florida
and
too.
black, in
Florida too, right?
In Georgia.
It's gonna make a lot of history in Georgia, so it's a lot of people pushing it out now.
It's a brother running in Florida.
Man, where
Damn,
you been?
yeah, he been under a rock.
They gonna hang his ass. Oh, is that Gilliam? Is that Gilliam?
Right.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I forgot. Yeah, now as soon as you said, I was like, hold on. I thought about it because I listened to one of his speeches. I was like, they gonna hang that brother so soon, man. Talking too much sense. Shit.
Yeah, it's about the bottom line, anyway.
Yeah, I don't know, but it was looking like a blue wave. Now it's looking like a splash on the beach. I don't know.
What it's looking like? It done changed
splash
already?
on the beach. Yeah, it was a blue wave. I was afraid. I was, happy. I'm like, oh, wait, we're about to wave it out. Now it's like, it's poles are tighter than ever. I'm like, oh my God, what happened? What happened to the wave?
I'm trying to get Beto O'Rourke here, man, because it's close. It's close.
What's the percentage points?
Yeah, what they look like?
I think it was last time 46.50. Last time I checked it, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get a text message in a minute from Xavier because he been up Beto's ass ever since I even heard of the dude. So if it's closer than 50-46, please let me know, somebody.
Okay.
But yeah, if he does win, I'd be surprised. Just let you know your actual name is showing up. So if you don't. When y'all sign in, y'all can put a fake name. It don't matter if you care about your anonymity.
Your anonymity.
I think I know who this is. Well, it's a funny thing. I can't vote this round. I don't have my shit together in Texas. So
what you mean? What you don't have together? Your
I don't have my license.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That $200 to go to my car register and get my license, all that shit. I still need to do that. Been slacking.
What
I feel bad.
What you been doing? Driving Uber?
No. Paying these damn bills. I had to pay $6.
No, I'm saying you're not driving. I'm saying you're not driving.
No, I am driving. Sparingly, but I'm driving.
Oh, so you bucking against the system, basically.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. They ain't gonna catch me.
They watching you tonight, man.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, can our guests talk? I want to make sure they can say anything. Can you
Brian, who's that?
Brian
Bale, who's that?
Oh, yeah, sorry. That's unmute.
Gentlemen, can y'all say something?
Can he talk?
Nate has to give y'all speaking privileges.
I thought they had that speaking privileges. Let me see. Nah, they got speaking privileges.
They can't speak, man? They can't say nothing? Baytime Mexican?
Type in the chat.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. You
All
dragged
right.
to him, I didn't give you speaking privileges.
No,
Suppressing your voice right now.
I had the wrong headphones on. So, what's going on, gentlemen?
What's going on, man? What you thinking about?
Oh, I was just talking about getting in with the argument of the whole atheism versus agnosticism.
That's not what we're arguing, really. We're arguing if atheists have a burden of proof. Right.
So here's the thing: as much as I'm not a scientist, it's still who's ever making a positive claim has the burden of proof. People always say that the Bible is their burden of proof. No, it's a freaking claim. And people can't, like, I know what debate is. I know the rules, the guidelines of debate, but people think that arguing is a debate. They don't understand the actual topics between things. They don't understand how to pull out, how to have a cohesive argument. And it goes to just the intellectual laziness of a lot of people where they want to have an opinion about something, but they don't want to study it. or how to convey that message.
Okay.
So it's
But
really,
but can you explain yourself when you say when somebody makes a positive claim, right? You say
Okay.
what do you mean? What do you mean? Explain yourself.
so for example, if someone says there is a God, you have to come up with proof showing that there is a God. You can't win an argument, or you can't actually say, well, my point is bigger because I just disproved your point. No, you have to come up with your own evidence. It's like the idiots with flat earth. They don't say, well, here's our flat earth model. They don't say, well, here's the reason why the stars do this. They say, well, I don't think yours is true, so I automatically win.
Well, the Christian can just say, "Well, the Bible is my evidence." So they set that standard by whatever's in that book is true because it corresponds with their personal anecdotes that from their personal testimonies.
Again, it's a claim because here's the thing: what it's saying that is true. It's not giving any true evidence. And we all know there are things in the Bible that is just blatantly false. Predictions that never happened, past history that came from a perspective of people that didn't understand the world that was around them or the politics of other nations.
You can't tell Jesus is Lord that.
Let me add some nuance to this conversation in this sense. When we talk about atheism, there are two versions. There's the lack of belief and there's the proposition, the belief that there are no gods. I personally believe that, and I think it is appropriate that if you're saying, I believe there is no gods, that is a positive claim. That's a positive claim that gods do not exist. Then you then assume a burden of proof to prove that. And I think the atheism, and I think we were talking about psychological state of belief, or is atheism where you're not even rejecting a claim. Someone is positing a God and you're saying, I don't believe that claim to be true. It's just like when let's say, a good example is the gumball example. When you go to like Las Vegas or something, I'll have a big jar of gumballs and say, one person will say, well, how many gumballs on the machine? Are the number of gumballs in that machine odd or even? And if I were to ask you, do you believe they're odd? And you can say, no, I don't believe they're odd. And if I say, do you believe they're even? You can easily say, no, I don't believe they're even. Rejecting it's not, you can reject it based on having no evidence that they're either even or odd. So that's right. what I think the problem is here, is that you're talking about two separate systems. One where you're putting forth propositions, and then the second system where you're talking about psychological states of belief.
But there lies the problem with that analogy, Nate. It's not that you're saying that one is one way or the other. You both have evidence to back your claim. All you have to do is get it by counting the gumballs. That's it. It's evidence to back your claim. When you have the Bible, that's just a claim.
Yeah. Well, but let's even withdrawing the fact if they never count how many are in the machine. The fact of if me and you go to one of these, if I hold up a cup or hold up my hand and say how many electrons are in my hand, if the number of electrons in my hand odd or even, and right, Emperor says, well, he believes they're even. Do you believe him? You can say no. Then Drag will say, well, do you believe they're odd? Because I believe they're odd. And you can still say no. But that doesn't mean, but you understand, you just, even though you're rejecting their assertions that it's true, that their parts of the proposition is true, doesn't give you a burden to prove why you don't believe them, because they haven't provided you any evidence.
That's right.
So, and I get exactly what you're saying, and don't get me wrong, I'm actually saying something where, these things are quantifiable and these things are examinable, and I maybe I'm looking at this too linear. It's just at a point where when you're a atheist just means lack of belief. When you're anti-theist,
no. See, that's the point you keep missing.
That is a usage.
That's a usage. That's not what it means. That's not. I have to correct
people. It has multiple definitions.
Wait. I'm actually trying to just go into. I'm going to get my explanation. When you're an anti-theist, that means that that's more, to me, in the way I use the language, is more of a positive claim that's saying that there are no gods. But when you're just atypical of not believing in a God, that's something different.
So me and you are different on anti-theist. So,
That,
'cause
right.
I put myself under the label of anti-theist because I want to see religions go away. That is my usage of anti-theist.
Right. There's
But
no one definition of anti-theist either.
But to be
and I
fair,
get that.
he is defining it as Hitchens defined it, because Hitchens did define it in the way he's defining it.
Yeah, but it's all
I understand that. I understand that. But the way Hitchens defined it is just still one usage. No matter how great
Yeah,
Hitchens
this is
was,
true.
it's only one. Because you do know that Christians can be anti-theists too, right?
No, and I give you that. And what I would attribute lack of religion is anti-theism, as far as the
Right.
That's what I would attribute that when you're talking about the ideas. But when you're talking about a staunch belief that there are no gods, where you're making a positive claim, that's what I would go with anti-theist English language, and I've grew up with it my whole life. So anyway, but
I just find that claim irrational. Right?
I do too. I think it's irrational. But I mean, I let people, I understand what he's saying, though. But
I like to play with the nuances of words, and it's the difference with the way it's communicated in the English language. Yes, there are multiple ways of saying.
I'm glad you said that, Lone Star. Because see, that's exactly what Steve is doing. The same thing you're doing. You're playing with the nuances of words, and that's the point we're talking about. It's just basically semantics, which basically gets us nowhere.
It's better to argue concepts.
Right. It's like it gets us nowhere. But when you start claiming, not you, Lone Stage Art, but when you start using these nuances like that, and then say that your nuances are right and everybody else is wrong, that's when you stepping in deep doo-doo.
Oh no.
No, I'm not saying not you. I'm just saying what you're doing. You're basically using semantics, and you're using what you think these words are basically, and there are different uses. That's basically what I'm saying.
And you know what the thing is with Steve's failure to communicate, he doesn't want to be part of the pejorative mad atheist thing. And if he would say that, if he would state that clearly, instead of trying to do these mental gymnastics to say, no, I'm not an atheist, and says, I just don't believe there's any gods.
Well, he's just trying to follow through on his Gandalf impression of "You shall not pass."
Put that in, man. Immutable Destiny in here now?
Yeah, he's in there.
What you think? What you think, Immutable Destiny?
I mean, like as far as the whole Steve thing goes, I mean, he's never been consistent with. Like he's always wanted to be like special pleading with this whole atheism shit. Like he's always wanted to pigeonhole people, so to speak, into his own position.
Well,
I mean, so the way I go about it is that there's the universal, a God out there, which I'm agnostic to that whole idea.
Right.
And then there's when you get down to specific gods, such as like the Abrahamic gods or like Hindu gods, I am an atheist to those gods.
That's called local atheism.
Yeah.
I mean, I would probably say I'm more of a global atheist because I mean, technically, by technical definition, I'd be an agnostic because I can't present arguments that would definitively show there's no God. But I'm confident enough that I probably will never be able to believe that a God exists, based upon the current evidence, based upon the current arguments that exist for it.
It's funny because I would just say there's a high probability that there is no God. That's like the best. I can only go to the just like I'm more than highly probable that there is no Santa Claus. Is more than highly probable.
I'm highly probable that there's no Lucifer, no Satan, no demons.
Yeah. As max probability as I could possibly get.
Well, me and Drag had a talk about this So there could be an alien civilization out there somewhere in the universe that is just so technologically advanced that to us we would perceive it as a god.
You had a talk, I had to listen. That's what happened.
Yeah.
So you know who makes that argument? What's his name makes that argument? What's
Stanley?
Nah, Stanley, right? Yeah. No, what's the black guy? The black astronomer, whatever his name is.
Oh, Neil deGrasse Tyson. How you forget our God?
Yeah,
how you
guy,
our God?
Neil deGrasse
Come on,
Tyson.
Yeah, Tyson has said something similar to that before.
He's not an astronomer, Nate. Come on, man. He's an astrophysicist.
Astrophysicist. That's
Please-
true.
Does not
please
call
get
that
it
Get his title. Oh my God, Nate.
Man called the man an astronomer. God, man.
not his name.
But you see, everybody knew who exactly I was talking about when I said the black astronomer. Ain't nobody stop it until they gave me the name. Oh yeah, we know who you talking about.
Ain't number 2 of them out there anyway. So I mean, you gotta remember one.
What's the other one?
More than that, Drag. More
The
than
other
that.
one. Well, he's a professor at the school.
It's a lot more than that, Drag. It's a lot of them just don't want to be popular like Neil.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got one at the school. We
Oh,
got
yeah?
one. Yeah. I don't know his name. I don't go by the physics department that much, so but I know.
Now
he's
all
there.
I'm imagining is the physics department. Like, hey, we got our token black guy.
Right.
Pretty much. And no, look, our faculty is pretty damn diverse.
Yes.
Doggone
Yes,
diverse. It's surprised. Like the president of the college is a black woman. It's like word.
There's way too many Chinese though in the math because it's very hard to understand them because they are.
It's a
directly from
university.
China. Yeah.
That's always what happens. Like even in my university, like once you start in the high level maths, it's always like some Asian guy.
No, but they're all like on or
You got Professor Wu, don't you?
I
no
mean,
Professor
Asians are
Professor
with
Shi.
math.
Like,
Yep.
no, but so they are literally just at the school from their Chinese universities,
Yeah.
and it is just like they'll get talking and they'll transition back into like their accent, and it's just like, all right, I missed all of that.
Now you see how I feel during organic chemistry with Dr. Wang every single day.
Hold up, it's like you got organic chemistry with a Chinese guy?
Yep.
Oh shit.
Do you see why I'm having a hard time now?
No wonder.
The math. Heavy
Damn.
on the math. Heavy on the math, though.
Hey, it is what it is. But anyway, I want to get to where is that clip? Where is that clip with Candace Owens and Joe Rogan?
Oh, yeah, we got to.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right.
Because I didn't get a chance because I was supposed to listen to it after I got off the phone with you, but then I got a call from Aaron, so I was like, "Shit, let me hop in the car."
No, wait. I'm calling bullshit. You were supposed to look at that clip like 4 weeks ago when I brought it up to you.
For real?
Yes.
You brought that clip to me?
Yeah.
I told you I gotta remind me. I'm dead like I think I'm a kid. I'm like, no. Every time someone says, "Oh yeah, we doing it," I say, "What's the first thing?" Remind me, because I will forget. I will forget. I'm just saying, I'm forgetful. Y'all think I'm joking? I have a chart right here of stuff for me to remember.
Oh God.
Are you? Oh my
Your
God.
son write that, Drag? I'm just asking.
No, my handwriting is terrible, but this is organic chemistry stuff for me to remember. But I have other stuff too in my phone, just so I can remember. And I have to set the dates a day ahead of whenever it's due, so I'll remember.
Oh.
I'll forget again.
Procrastination is wrong with this one.
All right, here we go. I'm about to put it up right now. So this is going to be.
Just saying, I know me.
What you guys are going to see is Candace Owens. Oh, matter of fact, continue talking. I forget.
And Roy Rogan.
Oh, I'm like
So if you go on Joe Rogan's podcast, you have to know if you come to him with some bullshit, he is going to push your shit in.
well, no, I'm like the thing
No,
is
he's not.
Rogan is a very non-confrontational podcast. He wants to just keep people talking.
Yeah, but that's how you got Elon Musk to smoke weed on the joint.
Yeah. No, but like Rogan doesn't really challenge people. It's literally when you make outlandish claims like Candace does that he challenges.
That wasn't the first time, though, from what I understand, that he's had to, he's just been flabbergasted at somebody's.
Yeah, no, but I mean he's brought on like Gavin McInnes, like people like that make really out there claims, and he'll just like pass it off and to try to continue the conversation.
Yeah. So what happens is he ropes people up long enough, but when you start making bullshit claims, like he had a flat earther on there before, and he was like, "No, stop," and he.
Oh, that's his buddy Eddie Bravo. Probably.
But I saw one where he just like stomped a mud hole in somebody's ass because it's like you just bullshit now.
Hold on. So here we go. We're going to play the clip. This is the Joe Rogan Experience. It's him with our girl Candace Owens. So we'll see what happens.
Think that we're almost losing America, and there's a battle for America.
I really feel that, like, just in every regard, in terms of just the people that were running, like Hillary Clinton. Like, this woman was a globalist. Like, just think about who we were in bed with, like Saudi Arabia, selling all of our uranium to Russia. Like Trump came in and was like, no, like, America, people, we were the gap, like, we're losing the middle class. The gap between the rich and the poor was, like, literally.
And what do you think is causing that?
Policies, shipping all of our jobs overseas, the regulation, the government getting bigger and bigger. You can't do anything as an entrepreneur in America without a piece of paper from the government, discouraging people with this piece of paper, like shutting down the factories, forgetting that there's something, there's a little land between New York and LA, believe it or not, and this is what Trump understood. We were losing that, and Trump appealed to those people. I'm still floored, like, as I'm traveling the world and seeing different pieces of the country, I'm learning how ignorant I was, and that's the best thing in the entire world.
Way?
Just, I fell victim to the idea that, like, it was progress, we have to care about the environment, it was progress, and it's like, no, like, we've been losing, America has been losing, and Donald Trump understood that in a way that I didn't, and I thought...
You don't think we have to care about the environment? Like, what do you...
No, not even a little bit. Like,
not even a little bit?
No. Okay, let me clarify this. I don't throw trash on the ground. Like, okay. I'm not saying, like, we need to, like, trash the environment, like, but do I believe in climate change? No.
You don't believe in climate change?
Well, I think the climate always changes, I guess is what I should say. Do I believe that this is, like, an issue that is being, that is global warming, which they've changed conveniently. They got rid of the word once scientists started disproving it. Now they only say climate change. No, I think that was just a way to extract dollars from Americans. I don't at all believe. They had no actionable plan. It was great for Trump to get out of that deal. It was terrible.
Okay, but this is an incredibly complicated subject.
Right.
And if you would have to talk to a bunch of different scientists and see how they gather data and see what they understand about CO2 levels and what's the danger of them and what can combat it and what could not. Have you done all this, or do you take this flippant opinion based on the party line?
This wouldn't be the hill I died on, right? But it's not about the party. I just genuinely, I've read a ton about it, but I would not be able to come to you and say, like, this is my strong opinion. But here's, like, the easiest way to say this, right?
Okay.
The fact that there is a disparity in the science community about whether or not it's real is enough to.
It's very little.
Yep.
Very little disparity.
But
Most scientists, the vast majority, agree that human beings are negatively affecting climate change.
Yeah.
The vast majority.
Yeah, I just don't think so.
So you think that the very few scientists that disagree with the consensus are the ones that are correct?
Well, I think if something is, it's either subjective or it's objective, and there are objective truths, right? But it's subjective if you're saying that there are some, and I don't think there's very little. There are some that don't get paid to go on TV. There's some that are not Bill Nye, who are not funded scientists, and that has been a whole.
Well, Bill Nye's not a scientist.
I know.
He's not. He's
it broke my heart when I found out.
Science
mouthpiece.
Propagandist.
Yeah, but that's the point.
He's no, that's not a good word.
I don't think Al Gore is a scientist.
He's not.
Right.
But Bill Nye is like a science influencer or a science entertainer.
Yeah, he's like a.
But he doesn't have a background in actual science. He's not a scientist. He doesn't have a PhD. He's got an
I learned about him in school. Everything I did in science had to do with Bill Nye.
Well, he promotes science, and science is not bad.
Yeah.
But the real problem is with climate change is that, for sure, there has been ups and downs throughout the history of this planet. They're observable. They follow them in. I mean, it was one of the subjects that I had earlier today with Dr. Robert Schoch. In 2014, the vast majority, 87% of scientists, said that human activity is driving global warming, yet only half the American public ascribe to that view. So,
well, what website is
87%, and this is
Scientific American.
Yeah.
Yeah, .com though, like, cause that means it's making money. I don't trust that. If it was a .org, I would probably take that. But this is just a random website, and I don't trust.
Scientific American is not necessarily a random website.
I don't believe this, like, at all. Just so you know.
You don't believe it, like, at all?
I genuinely don't believe it. I know you do, but I genuinely don't believe it.
I believe 87%? Most of the time the consensus of scientists that are studying the data.
Right.
And so what they're doing is
But do you remember all of the stories that came out about the scientists that said that when they tried to present their evidence to show, like, they were basically just getting shut down at every corner? You can pull that up too. Like, scientists who look up the opposite. right? Instead of looking for what
But
you're
wait a
searching
minute,
for,
but
looking for what
why-
you're not looking
That's
for.
not what I didn't search for it. That's what I found when I searched it.
Sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, look up.
But
Look
this
up.
is my question.
Yeah.
Why are you so sure? This is a
No, because
extremely.
what you just said. Because
but
what you
this
just
is an
said.
extremely complicated subject.
And it is. I said I am not so sure that I would die on the hill for it. My opinion right now, and is just that it was a means, because forget the fact of whether you believe global warming is real. Let's say it's 100% real. Let's say we know for a fact it's real. Is there a way?
Well, let's be clear.
Yeah.
Global warming, climate change is definitely real. It's happening.
Well,
the question
but it's
is why
always
is it happening?
happened.
Yes, it has always
So
happened.
what is the
real-
climate change? Yes, the climate changes. It was different weather yesterday than it was today. The climate is forever changing. Like that's the problem, is that people are making it seem like that's something weird.
No,
it's
no,
not
that's
unique.
not. You're misrepresenting the issue. The issue is.
All right. So, hold on.
Said that America sold all of our nuclear material to Russia.
You heard that too? I'm not even gonna touch that. I'll let you talk about
So,
that. My God.
You may have the Miss Candace Owens, ladies and gentlemen.
Holy shit, she is dumb.
No,
That's the first time I caught that.
she's not
God
dumb.
damn.
She's paid to be that way.
She can't be this. No, there's no way.
no,
someone
no.
paid her to be
No,
this
no,
dumb.
no. She's not dumb, guys. She's a blonde. There's a difference.
No, oh my God. Okay, so the first thing, the very first thing that comes out of somebody's fucking mouth when they're talking about climate change is that they start talking about weather. I know that they're full of shit. Weather and climate are two different fucking things. You even heard her when she repeated it. She said, "Oh, the weather changes all the time." We're not talking about the weather. We're talking about climate. There's a difference. It's just
Wait. You're forgetting she's paid to memorize talking points.
She
And
didn't do it.
sometimes they come out of order, but this is clearly a case that she has been paid to be that person. She's just like Ben Shapiro, who memorizes talking points, and if you catch them off guard, you mess up their spiel.
I know where she got this from, though. She got this from PragerU, because I've heard these lines before. Almost, and you laugh.
PragerU,
You laugh. Go to Prager. Go. They have
She's a PragerU bitch.
Yeah.
Listen, man. I don't know why y'all listen. Let me just nip this in the bud. Let me just. ain't gonna use no conspiracy theories or nothing, man. Now, I gotta agree with Drag. She's a dumb hoe. But listen, this is the thing I'm saying. She's probably intelligent because she speaks well, but she's not. No, excuse me. I don't mean intelligent. I mean basically pseudo intelligent because she can speak good and she can carry her words. But the thing is, man, for a person, and Joe Rogan, he couldn't correct on that because he obviously didn't know the difference between weather and climate. But that's not even important. What's important is how she basically tried to, put this big cloud of conspiracy just around science. She told him, well, go look up what science is trying to present stuff. I wish Joe would have let her go on and speak on that. You know what I mean? Because he didn't let her. Well, go and look what science is trying to present stuff. And they what? You didn't even finish it. Joe should have let this dumb bro go ahead and finish that and speak on it, but he didn't. So I think that was bad. Joe just was saying that, well, we know global warming is real, blah, 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 blah. But, it's people like her. I ain't even thinking about the Republican Democratic talk that you do. Who cares? You want to be a Republican? That's fine. You want to be with the right wing? Okay, so what? You and Kanye ride the same roller coaster. Who cares? But when people like her, who people keep giving this attention to, talks about science like that, and without understanding peer review, real peer review, without understanding consensus, I think it's really bad for people. It's bad for kids. It's because the people then just be like, well, I don't believe in gravity because I ain't really, I don't know if it's real or not. I ain't really all the way with it yet. I don't know if I can go with the.
But
you can find a peer review paper that calls gravity into question.
But that's the point of what they're saying. That's the point of what they're saying. Not to say, well, this is my evidence to prove the contrary. It's to muddy the waters. It's to cause confusion.
Right.
Are their talking points that they've had talking points since the 1980s with Reagan. It's not. It's not even. It's why I don't trust what people say. I always think there's a ulterior motive, some good, some bad, but it's just one of those things where these people. It's just like she did the same flip that Dave Rubin did, and it's all because of the money. That's all it is. It's because of the money. And if you pay somebody to say certain shit, if their livelihood depends on them saying something, sooner or later they're gonna believe it.
That's true. If you pay them enough for it, and don't forget, like what this was about. What is it? 20 months ago or 2 years ago, she was CEO of the blog, and like one of the articles was about how big Trump's penis was and all that stuff.
Exactly.
It concluded very small, and then like
Exactly.
then like 10 months later, she's ultra
Manchester.
conservative. Yeah. So
It's ridiculous, but it's okay.
Y'all gonna
It's fun.
pay me to say some crazy shit? Please do. You know where my GoFundMe, Cash Me, Give Me Money thing is. I'll say all kind of crazy shit.
I'm still trying to figure out the amount to make you do a freaking G-Man impersonation of his rap.
$50,000.
Yeah,
And sharks with lasers.
because I don't want to hear that shit. You just have to send you money.
what you say? You said he just got kicked out of spot, right?
Huh?
Didn't you say you got? What did you say you earlier? I thought you were talking about he got kicked out for show or something like that. Gee, man.
Did he get kicked off a show?
Is G-Man still around, man?
I thought I
taking
heard
a
that from
break.
somebody. Maybe
He taking a break.
Say what, Drag?
He taking a break now.
I ain't heard nothing from your cousin G-Man. Man.
No, well, no, he working out.
He's moving to a different state.
He worked somebody gave him a house, and so he their slave now.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I ain't even joking. That's not even a joke. Like he's doing
It
it.
is a joke.
Yeah, but it's like,
Drag
brother,
said,
you put your,
that's not even a joke.
and it's not. I was like, it's sad, man. Folks fought 300, 400 years to free your ass, and you voluntarily being a slave now. You a dumb motherfucker. I swear to God.
He's a slave of the money.
Slave for Jesus first, though, so that's all that counts. He's a slave
yes.
for Jesus.
Cooning for the
G-Man-
Lord.
Wasn't he the one person that said like he didn't believe slavery existed or some shit?
Well, he's making
While
the
back,
point.
though.
First,
Ain't no telling what G-Man said.
his first point was that the slavery back then was like indentured servitude.
Okay, I've really why is Nate's gain turned?
My gain is like all the way up.
You got
That's
some
what-
bass in your voice.
Uh-oh.
Say it with your chest.
Yeah, my chest. Hello. Hold on.
Say it with your chest.
Somebody said, "Why is Nate's voice so weird?" I said, "He just hit puberty. That's why."
Now, my question
All
is,
right, is it better now? It's worse.
Nate just taking puberty.
I'm just gonna pull this stupid thing out. I'll be right back.
I just thought he had fucking gas. He was trying to get gas. You'd be drinking soda, and you try not to talk because it hurt. But yeah,
No, he's. Oh god.
So I got a question. Why was G-Man dressed up like that? Like, remember the Last Dragon? Who was the fucking villain in that?
that was a Ken outfit. No, you talking about the red outfit?
Yeah.
That was Ken from Street Fighters.
Oh God.
That's who he's dressed up as. Black Ken. Palette swap Ken.
That's show enough, man. He's talking about show enough.
Yeah, I didn't want to. And it was like, okay, why is he trying to imitate showing up from the Last Dragon? Like he legit was in the gi and shit, and I'm like, no, stop, go.
I've not seen a good cosplayer show enough, and I would appreciate it if somebody actually did and had all the mannerisms and everything and shit. I would genuinely. If you've not seen that old ass movie, that is a cult classic right along with.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
When I
my
go to,
voice still bad?
Along
Is
with
it
Dragon
so
Ball
bad?
Evolution.
No.
All right.
Hell no. No.
Maybe I will cut you.
No. We don't talk about that.
All right, I'm gonna try for one more time.
There
I
we
still
go.
have
good.
voice?
That's
All right.
that's good enough. That's fine. Shit. So I like I put, what did I put here? So okay, if she doesn't like Scientific American, that's fine. It's pop science. They're not, for pop science, group. They're not too bad, right? They have some articles that are fairly decent on the list. Like if it's not, I fucking love science. Okay, it's so fine. But he said there was the disparity in the field, and I think Joe Rogan had actually addressed this. He said, yeah, the vast majority of scientists agree. Like there is
87%. He said he brought up 87%.
I think it's more than that actually, but we'll just say 87, 80, whatever, 80%. Anthropogenic climate change is a thing. Humans have changed the climate, not the weather, the climate overall over the course of several decades since the Industrial Revolution. So this is something that is factual. Now there is a debate on the sources. That's a hot debate on how to measure it.
You damn humans done fucked yourself to death and just fucked up the whole ecosystem.
That's what we good.
You motherfuckers on Earth, man.
Yeah, that's what we good at doing.
I don't know if you guys ever heard of what's it called, the Great Filters from the what's it called that have you guys ever heard of the Great Filters? Like every civilization has to go through some calamity, and most don't make it. So this may be our calamity that we may have to go through, destroying our planet through fossil fuels.
Well, nobody's making it out of this one.
You know what? I'm watching Interstellar, so fuck you. I got plans.
That's why I want the Star Trek government.
Oh, yeah, you are a globalist. That's right.
Oh yeah, you're super globalist. Star Trek.
Yeah. I think that everybody should be with that idea. If you're not with that,
so you're into the Star Trek ethics because there's like a whole body of work for Star Trek ethics.
Yes.
But it's all based on the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, the foundational principle.
Gene Roddenberry would be so proud.
Well, so that is a core principle, but it's also protected that you don't, even if the few, you don't completely just eliminate them. That's also a core principle.
I don't know about that. I think that's the core principle made up on the fly right now in this hangout.
It's part of the prime directive.
I know the prime directive, yes, but just
but that's part of the prime directive, because otherwise, if the needs of the many completely outweighed the needs of the few, they wouldn't go around planets that have developing societies. If they had resources, they would just take over that planet and take the resources if it was the needs of the many.
Well, listen, I'm going to expose myself as a Star Trek maniac. When we go back to Enterprise, the first season of Enterprise, when they were discussing the Prime Directive, they made it very clear that the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few was a foundational principle, and the Prime Directive developed over time because I remember, if you remember, Jonathan Archer had that little issue when he was supposed to intervene in that little civil war and blah, blah, blah. So the Prime Directive was something that actually occurred after the foundational principle of the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. And actually, that's why Spock said it when he was dying. The needs of the many, the needs of the few, and the needs of the one. I don't know. I'm a freak. I like Star Trek.
Spock was a contradiction inside of a contradiction, because he actively did shit to save his friends in many episodes just because they were his friends, and he acknowledged that in some of the later freaking
human side.
Exactly.
But wasn't that logic though? Is it not logical to want to save the people you love? No. Is it not? Is it not? It's devoid of logic.
It's not devoid of logic. And if you were to make the argument that you're doing it for selfish reasons because I need this person around, they made me feel good, yes. But he never explained it that way. He was just like, I just don't want to see my friend hurt. It's that, like the scene in iRobot where they find out the big plot and the big computer mastermind is like, don't you see it's logical to just get rid of these humans or control these humans? And the fucking robot in there is like, I know it's logical, but I just like them. That's how Spock was. He was a robot that tried to be a real boy.
Folks, this is why I like Star Wars. Fuck all that.
Pinocchio. He's Pinocchio.
Well, that's because you're a bitch in sci-fi.
No, but well, actually, for Star Trek was Gene Roddenberry's heaven. He considered that to be the ultimate goal of mankind, to just be space explorers, and and there would be no poor, no rich. We'd all be part of the government and a grand socialist bastion of exploration.
And as soon as he died, the show got immediately better.
I don't know. I like Voyager. Voyager is good too.
Voyager was good, but Deep Space Nine was probably the best one. Enterprise had some better stories, but Deep Space Nine just had better character connections because it was. Yes,
I'm a Voyager man. Voyager was. I don't know.
I'm Enterprise.
Enterprise is good too. Well, I would give Deep Space. Now, actually, I'm giving the Next Generation number 2. What am I talking about? It's Voyager, then it's the Next Generation. Deep Space Nine. That's not even making a list if those 3 is on it.
I'm like, how do you like the new movies versus the old?
Ooh.
You know what? I saw some of the old Captain Kirk movies, but the Next Generation movies, I really like First Contact. First Contact was fun.
Yeah, First Contact was good.
The Nemesis was okay. The one where they what is that? The one where they had to move the people that they found out they were like super technologically advanced. That one was okay.
Oh, yeah,
Nemesis with the clone of Captain Picard, it didn't really like it that much. But I like a lot of the characters from the show. The Borg that they converted in Next Generation, when he came back, was like, look what you did to us. Now we got to learn how to work together without forcing our will on each other. And I thought that was really, really fun.
Yeah, that was good. I don't know. I just thought Voyager just had very good stories too, but I don't know.
It did.
Voyager got into a lot of the because magic. I know they had technology, but it got into because magic. How did they get across the universe? Because magic.
Not because magic, it's because a phenomenon that occurred that they don't understand. And they were trying to understand it, but they just don't understand it. The whole shit is magic. Them traveling through space, they do it. But do you really think there's a Heisenberg compensator? Do you think that's real? No, it's all magic. It's all fake.
No, the reason why they created the teleporter and they actually named that piece is because of the science behind it. Now they did not explain it, but they did have the science behind the shit.
No. Wait, how does it work? It works very well.
No, how does it work? The Heisenberg principle that you can never know both. What is it? Both momentum and position
and direction.
And that's the reason what the compensator does. It gives you that number. And
you talking about uncertainty principle?
Yeah, the uncertainty principle. That's what the hype.
The more you measure the position that a thing is, the less accurate you will be on vector when you're talking about subatomic particles.
And the Heisenberg compensator, because the teleporters break you down to the molecular level, compensates for that effect, giving you the teleporters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I give you it was some of the reason was because magic.
That is fundamental magic, though. That's a fundamental principle of science that you can't know those two numbers, and they solved it through straight up magic. You can say it's based on science, but that's magic.
And you know what?
We could eventually get the technology.
You can never. Oh, come on! To know both position and no, it's impossible. It's
not
impossible.
No, you can't say that it's impossible because we don't know.
We have to just learn how to detect light speed. That's it. But the thing about Voyager, the reason why I say it was more magical because a lot of the skips and jumps they got were just magic. When Kes came back, she was all mad and old and shit. She pushed him further around the galaxy because of magic.
And you don't think the Q was magic? You don't think
No,
Q's whole thing was magic. His whole existence. He was a damn magician, right? Pop appearing in places.
Well, and you know what?
He was the techno god.
Yeah, and you know what? He did have some great episodes in Voyager. Like, oh my God, he had some wonderful episodes in Voyager. Like the one where they visualized the Civil War. That shit was hilarious.
But if you didn't know, the Q are afraid of the Borg.
Exactly.
Well, didn't the Q introduce them? But I don't know. We're like way off topic now. We're talking about the Q, the Borg, and all that stuff now. We're like way off topic. So, our last piece before we get out of here is there going to be? Oh, well, two things. The first thing I want to say is, so remember we did the whole coons, baboons, and buffoons. We did a clip. There's a clip in there, in that episode, in which we play part of Kanye West's video with, I think, Charlemagne, literally a segment of the interview. So Kanye West actually gave us a copyright claim. So there are ads playing on that video. At first, I thought it was a joke when I clicked on it, but it's actually his actual channel. I'm thinking he has just a bot or something that does it, but he's making money off that video. So
Kanye can eat a dick. Well, at least he figured out that he's being used. So bravo.
You figured out what, Drag?
He said recently that I'm being used. So he's gonna take a break from politics now.
Man, fuck Kanye.
Yeah, he didn't know he was being used. And for our last topic of the day, we'll finish with the what's this other thing that we were talking about? So we did the now I forgot what I was
about the elections?
Yes. So is there going to be a blue wave? Before we go, the prediction. Do you think the Democrats will take both the House or the Senate, or do you think it'll be a split? We'll start with you, Crimson.
Correct Dragon earlier. So Beto and Cruz, by the latest polls, it's almost a 50-50 in the margin of errors.
So hold on, what's the numbers? What's the numbers though?
I said 50-45.
So it's 49-49 for a Democratic poll, and then it's 47-49 for a general poll. But they're both within the margins of errors.
So it's gonna be close, huh? It's gonna be close, huh?
Yeah.
So all right. So tomorrow. So here we go.
That means the Republicans gonna win.
Let's do this. What do you think about the Texas race? Beto O'Rourke versus Ted Cruz. Who do you think is going to win that race?
Sadly, I think Cruz is going to hold it. It's sad.
Why?
I tell you why Cruz is going to hold it.
All right, tell us
the reason why Cruz is going to hold it because Beto O'Rourke, he started out fighting. However, he went to fucking Republican light, and people fucking hate Republican light. If you want to give me a Republican light, give me a Republican.
So I'm thinking he has a very good chance of winning it because we've seen a 500% increase in young voters over this election.
Yep, that's true.
So I'm thinking that's the thing that may give Beto the win.
That's what got Obama in.
That's true. But I think because healthcare is so great here in the state of Texas that enough of fucks are going to be alive.
Let me give you guys the real clear politics average is Ted Cruz by 6.5 points. That's the average of real clear politics.
Well, they say he's going to win by 6.5?
They got to have the real clear average by 6, but Beto is on the move, but Cruz has been gaining. So right now, Cruz at the real clear average is 51.2%, and Beto O'Rourke is at 44.7%. But these new polls are showing a rise for Beto O'Rourke, the newest polls.
And you got to remember those polls are actually, the real clear politics are about a week out. So they're actually taking polls that were a week out, and in themselves about a week out when they try to get the polls together is how we get polls. I really do think that the Democrats, when you look at like generic House races, they're going to take the House. Senate, too hard to take. Too hard to take because it's like Sarah McCaskill. She's, again, running fucking Republican lights. She bragged that she voted 70% with Trump. No, you idiot. Say, this is my point. Stick to my point and go against what you say is so bad. If you want if you push Republican light, people gonna say, fuck it, let's just go with the Republicans.
The latest poll for Cruz O'Rourke is Cruz +3 from Emerson. It just came out last night, 50-47.
Oh, what's the polls for? I forgot the polls. What's the polls for Kemp and Stacey Abrams in Georgia?
Let me go Kemp and Stacey. Yeah. The latest poll.
Well, that's the second latest poll. The latest one is 49-49.
Well, that's tied, right?
Yeah.
I can tell you what the latest poll is. The Secretary of State who is running for government is running the fucking election. So they're going to pull out every fucking trick in the book.
He's already done that. So there's 70,000 voters were stopped from being registered.
That's after the 3 million that were just disenrolled?
Yeah, no. But these are people that were applying to being registered. They were stopped.
Listen. Well, Kemp by 12. The latest poll. Today, taken today. Kemp by 12 over Abrams in
For real?
Georgia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So people,
and Gillum is by 1 in Florida.
So people got to the polls in Georgia, and they were told that they weren't registered to vote.
Wow.
Yeah. So they every single person that didn't vote in the 2016 election was completely scrubbed.
Yes,
So
something's wrong with that
we're
poll.
told-
Because
Yeah.
the poll 2 days before that had them virtually tied, 49-47, 49-47. 2 polls actually.
And now he's
And
ahead
now
by
it's
12.
now it's a 12-point spread.
Well,
Yeah, that's strange.
So they closed most of the polling places in black neighborhoods.
Oh no! And here's the fun part about it: the Sunday where they used to take people from, not Sunday, it was a nursing home that was taking elderly citizens to vote.
Yep.
They while they were going there, they stopped it while they were loading them on the bus and said, "Well, we can't guarantee their safety. So, and plus, this is a public matter. I mean, this is a state-funded facility, so y'all can't help support them to vote." Like, yeah, they're pulling out all the dirty tricks.
Generic ballot has Democrats by 7. 49-42.
Yeah. So the Democrats are most likely going to take the House, but they're not going to take the Senate.
They would have to almost sweep everything, which is going to be because you have to automatically count McCaskill's seat as a loss. She's already down by 12. And
So the Senate will probably be controlled by Republicans. Democrats.
But you can get some real gems of wins in there. For instance, you can get Beto O'Rourke, who's running for president. I'm just letting you guys know. Beto O'Rourke is definitely running for president.
He cannot run for president. That's an automatic loss.
He's running for president. I'm telling you, he's running for president.
That's an automatic loss.
Because you know what they did? They asked him if he would take some of his campaign money because he like $38 million in 1 quarter. So they asked him to take some of his campaign money and help the down ballot races, and he refused to do it. He says, that he needs the money. So everybody's considering that he's going to just build up a war chest and make a jump for president.
That would be like that would completely defeat his whole campaign. So if he lost that run for president, he wouldn't even have a Senate seat the next go around.
Yeah, but he would still have 2 years left to change minds and hearts. Most of the senators that lost, like John McCain. How many times John McCain ran for president and lost? You know what I'm saying?
But he wouldn't even stand a chance in the next election if he tried to do that, because one of his main sticking points for this one is that Cruz went and ran for president instead of being a senator.
You know what? It's funny because
damn, I gotta make that move, man.
I would say that's even with Obama. So when Obama, if somebody said a black guy with the name Obama would be president, I'd be like, you was insane.
You mean Hussein?
Barack Hussein Obama. Yeah. So I don't know.
You guys forget who he was running against. He was running against Hillary Clinton. Whoever posed a decent choice versus Hillary Clinton will win.
Well, Bernie Sanders didn't win. She beat Bernie. But listen,
that's a conversation that we can have.
Yeah, we gotta have that another day. But listen, guys, we gotta go. This is for the Three Black Keys. I'm gonna thank you guys. I want to thank you, Crimson and Baytown. Thanks for coming by, man. For Infrared Atheist, the Dragnot, Snape Brody, and we'll be seeing you next time. Peace.
Adios.